have you ever been checking out at the grocery store? You're getting ready, putting all your things, and they're like, all right, here's your total, ma'am. And then you're running to get your wallet and you're trying to get it quick, and there's a whole line behind you, and you're saying, oh my goodness, how did I not think to get my card out before this? And then you finally get your card and you shove it in, and you're going all fast, and they're like, would you like a receipt? No, I wouldn't want one. Simply because you're just in a rush. You're in a rush. And this is something I've learned about being in a rush. You are not in a rush in the micro sense. Like the example that I just gave of being in line, waiting to think about what everyone thinks about you, that is on the small scale. But if you go through experiences like that kind of regularly, that tells me that you, just like me, grew up being in a rush. I've noticed that culturally this makes a huge difference, because I think that depending on different places that you are, there is more emphasis on rush, be quick, do this faster. And I don't think people, especially with kids, realize how much the fundamentals that they're teaching them about being rushed and always being late for something, always needing to go on to the next thing, how much that's crushing our spirit and letting us not be in the present moment ever. We are so hyper focused on, I don't want to look bad, I don't want this to come off in the wrong way, I want to be respectful of other people. Meanwhile, you just are dimming your light more and more. You don't take time to do things. Everything is always in a rush in the morning. Why is it that every morning you wake up, your alarm is set to 6:30, but you don't end up getting out of bed until 6:50? You're scrolling, you're calling someone on the phone, you're doing something, and then you have to get up and get dressed and get ready in 10 minutes. Why do we sometimes purposefully put ourselves in these situations where all of a sudden you and I have to be in a rush? Anything that we do has to be in a rush. We're going to meet friends, we're going to sabotage ourselves, and we're going to show up 20 minutes late just because, you know what, my subconscious is honestly used to it. These are not things that just came out of nowhere. Your subconscious mind has been processed like this, it grew up like this, so now this is just repeating its own pattern. If people always call you out for being late, if, like I said, you're always in a rush, you're always waiting, you're always saying kind of like these mean things to yourself under your breath, just tiny little moments where you might say, why didn't I get my card out sooner? Why didn't I think of preparing this meal before he had to leave? All of those tiny things leave you away from the present moment. Like I said, you are constantly living in a rush. And you might think, well, in our day and age, everyone has to be on a rush. Let's go, quick, quick, quick. Some people might even say this is the masculine energy. You just have to move, move, move. I challenge you to think, what if we could do all of the things that we wanted to do, but we didn't have to compromise our time, our composure, our calmness, our kindness towards ourselves. We could literally just say, you know what, I'm going to take my time to do this. I deserve to have this done. I deserve to feel calm as I do things. I see this so much in schools as well, where not even just parents, honestly, teachers, just above staff are always telling kids, hurry up, finish this faster, faster, faster. Everything is always just telling you to be faster at what it is that you're doing, because we are hyper obsessed with get as much done in as little time as possible. We want to rush everything in, and we honestly don't care about the result. We just care, oh, well, now it's done. Now I can do what I actually want to do. Now I can doom scroll on my phone as a teacher. Now I can do this. And honestly, it is just, I think it's also fueling the anxiety, the feelings of anxiety that people are getting, especially kids, constantly being on the rush, constantly being told to do something. And I even noticed this in my kiddos, where some of them, I tell them, all right, let's do this faster, let's move it along. And their reaction to it tells me everything. An appropriate response of someone that's just saying, oh, okay, yep, my teacher's telling me to do things a little quicker, I'm going to listen to her. That student would look at me. They would be like, oh, okay. And then they would just start coloring a little bit faster. Just start coloring a little faster. Whereas there's the other kid in my class that's going to freak out when I say anything. They're gonna say, oh my god, everyone's playing already. I'm the last one. I haven't even started the back page. I haven't even started coloring. And they're gonna go ba 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 to try to finish their coloring. Or they're going to start expressing emotions. They're going to start crying because they're overwhelmed and they don't know what the feeling of being overwhelmed is. They're just feeling this feeling and they're thinking, I just need to get this done as fast as humanly possible. Then there's the emotion, another one of my kids, that whenever he feels like he's in a rush, he starts getting angry. He starts building up, and it's obviously a very different emotion than crying or being sad or being frustrated, like one of my other ones. And he becomes very angry. He says, no, don't help me with this. I'm gonna do this alone. I wanna go out there later. And his tone of voice just crushes him down. You know what I mean? Like, he's expressing himself, he's expressing an emotion. But when we express our emotions, especially in things like anger, it's very important as adults, or just people that are more aware, to be able to recognize not as what the kid is actually trying to say, not what they're actually feeling, not like they actually want to like hurt you or hit you or all of these things. But instead, what if you could just realize, dang, this kid is so overwhelmed when he feels rushed. And again, I see him part of the time. I don't see him every single day. But when that happens, I always question myself, and I'm saying, dang, like, what's going on here beneath the surface? And these are my small, tiny little kids that I have in my class. They're 3 and 4 years old. And right now, they're being shaped as the kind of people who will be rushing 20 years from now, or the people that will live their lives with calm and with ease. I myself was always a student growing up. I was always the last one to finish a test. You could not have someone else finish a test definitely before, after me. I was always the one that would take the longest time. And it's wild what that does to our confidence and what we think about our self-concept, because I remember thinking, like, I know that I'm smart, but dang, like, these things take me so much time to think about. And as a kid, you don't rationalize as to why could that actually be happening. Why is it that I take a really long time? Do I feel nervous about it? Do I feel unprepared for my test? For me, it was a thing of English isn't my first language. So of course, especially when I was little, I'm literally thinking about every word and not even understanding all of these English words. Like, how wild is that? And this is not to be like, oh, well, that was the reason, and yeah, that's the reason why I never changed. And no, like, you grew up in a certain way, you grew up with certain circumstances, your parent dynamic, all of those things that you maybe did not control, you know? A lot of those things were just given to you. But I always want to remind you, as the person, as that little small kid that always felt so rushed and always felt like they had to explain themselves and not being able to express emotion. That's another thing. Kids that are taught to shrink down and not ever feel anything, not feel angry, not feel sad, only feel joyous. And then you realize that that isn't how emotions work. We need to allow all of the different kinds of emotions to express themselves. And that's what I'm coming back to, is you as that tiny little child, as that tiny little kid that was just in a world where everything was chaotic and everything moved fast, and it was like, keep up or drown, you know what I'm saying? And I just want to talk to you specifically in this video and tell you that I'm so sorry that you have had to live your life in a rush. I'm sorry that you feel like there's something innately wrong with you. Like, there's something that you're not fast enough, you're not moving like this. Like, it also comes down to expectations that the outside world has for you, in thinking, oh my god, am I gonna make this person upset at me? Is my mom gonna be upset because I didn't do this fast enough? Is my dad gonna yell at me because I didn't come right when he asked me? All of these things build us in our subconscious minds, which, as we know, is the majority of what your self-perception is. Not just your self-perception, it's literally who you are as like a soul, as a person, as a spirit. You are mostly your subconscious mind. All these tiny little moments that went into it that have now created this big idea of what you think about yourself. So if you're feeling like that, like I just always feel like I'm in a rush, I always feel like I have to prove something, I always feel like time is running out, I think that's another huge one, where you just think that time is so out of your control. Let me pop this bubble and this myth right now. Let's pop it together. Bam. Time is not linear. Like, at all. Time is not linear. Meaning there isn't a fixed amount of time that's actually real. If you think about it, you know this. Maybe you've just never internalized it this way, but you know this. When you go to sleep at night, you know logistically when you pull up your phone in the morning that, oh, I slept 8 hours. I can literally see that time has passed. Yet, when you're dreaming, or if you don't even remember your dreams, it can feel like an instant that you were out. But you know, again, logistically, there's been hours that have passed. You just haven't been consciously awake to see that, right? But so let's go back to this example. So you're sleeping, you're thinking, going to bed, next day you wake up, you see the alarm, time has passed. Same thing, let's say you're walking at the airport, and you know they have those big, they're not escalators, but like the magic carpets that like you can go on if you're trying to get somewhere faster. So there's the person that gets on that walkway, and there's a person that is standing and is just walking, regular walk, right? On the side. The person that's on the magic carpet, they are moving. They're going to be walking, right? They're walking on the carpet. The person beside them also walking. Who is going to get to their destination faster? It's the person on the magic carpet that is walking. Why is it when they were technically both doing the exact same thing? They were both walking at the exact same speed, at the exact same time they started. Why is one getting so much further than the other one? It's because obviously the magic carpet is making you go faster. But that just goes to show you that time isn't linear. There isn't something set where, oh, if I walk at this pace, no matter what, I'm always going to get there at the same time that person will. It doesn't work like that because of different speeds and stuff. So I hope that this goes to show you that time isn't linear. Time isn't one start and one end and that's it, which is a good thing because that means that time is up to you to create. You can create time. If I just blew anyone's mind, please let me know. But you can create time. Time exists, but time is not linear. What do I mean when I say time isn't linear? It's not like one dot that's already been shown. Like one dot and that's it. It's not like objective. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not objective. Just like in the examples that we gave. It's constantly shifting and moving and moving. And the more that you exercise your life from being in a point of always being rushed, you are telling your mind, I don't have time. And you're hyper focusing on the fact that you don't have time. So you're always going to be late. You're always going to feel like, oh, I got here, but it was just too late. I did this, but it wasn't fast enough. Everything in your life right now is feeling like it is so fast. Everything is moving fast. What you don't realize, because sometimes you're going to say, well, I don't have 20 minutes in the morning to get up and get dressed, maybe more. Let's say I don't have an hour to get up and just get going. I have to sleep. I have to blah, 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 blah. This is a thing when you start really diving into the truth that time isn't linear and you start realizing that you make up your own time and you get to decide how long something takes you and you get to decide to not be in a rush. Everything changes. Everything changes so much because you're no longer a slave to time. It's like the people that are no longer slaves to money, are no longer slaves to like people's perception of them. The amount of freedom that you get when you realize that all of these things are true, that you're the creator of your life, that you and the universe are working together to create your desired reality based on your thoughts that create your words, that create your actions and your actual physical reality. All of these things happen because you're just simply taking a choice. That's all it takes. You might have heard manifestation. It just takes one decision. It does. It takes one decision to change anything that you want. Anything that you don't like, you can change it like that. thing is that you don't believe that you can. You don't believe it's that easy. You don't believe, well, if I could do that, I would just do it. But that's the thing, is that when you call something out, the belief has to be real. Like, you genuinely have to believe it so much. And that's why in the beginning a lot of people say kind of like, fake it till you believe it. Like, keep repeating it so much in your mind. Keep focusing on something that's so good that literally your brain has nothing left to do but just create that goodness and that reality. That's exactly what it is. So in this case, if you want to create more of this time, if you want to feel less rushed, what you need to do is first take the decision of, today, I am choosing that I create my own time. I'm always on time. And start very much affirming those things with your words and with your actions, okay? Start showing up as the person that is always on time. Yeah, maybe you're going to be leaving 10 minutes earlier. Maybe you're going to be getting up even though you'd rather sleep for a couple extra minutes. But what you teach yourself and your nervous system when you are operating from a place of deep internal peace, you just become a magnet. No, it's kind of like when someone is in a relationship or like starting a relationship and they're so desperate and they're always on it and they're always sending that text, and you just are almost repulsed by that energy of desperation. It's kind of like that when you meet someone that's just like confident and reserved and laid back and doesn't have to be too loud, doesn't have to be the loudest person in the room. They just are. They just are they just are as they are. That's it. Those people are so magnetic because their aura is peace. Peace, calm, happiness, content, and on the vibrational scale, that's way higher up than things like rushing and being angry and feeling shameful and guilty. It's literally like the opposite end of this spectrum. The more peace that you hold, the more that you're able to do things slowly, and this takes practice, but you are so rewarded. Like, you literally, like, your body and your soul feel at peace. You literally feel like you can take a deep breath. You realize that there's all the minutes in the day that you need. You realize that any dream that you have is only a matter of time before it comes into your life. And truly, and I do think, like, very much like with a calm, reserved energy, I do think a lot of feminine energy, and thinking about a similar task, like let's say cooking. Cooking can be something like, I just got home from work, I need to hit the gym, I'm gonna make my food in 3 minutes, let's go, move. Again, very in your face, very aggressive, very rushed. But that same energy, and it could take you the same amount of time, 10 minutes. And I'm gonna go into it, and I'm gonna wash my vegetables, and I'm gonna take a deep breath, and maybe I'm going to listen to some music in the back, and I'm just going to physically feel like I'm at peace. And I swear, like, I don't know if this is a saying, but it kind of like the saying goes, you're gonna get things done anyway, you might as well just do it calmly. That's definitely not a saying, but I'm gonna make it one. Whenever you're doing something and you're able to step into that softer energy, just take your time with it. Trust that it's okay. Trust that, because again, these are nervous system things. This is something that, like, internally, something is like coming up within you telling you to move faster. And it's funny how that voice can literally be your mom telling you that in the grocery store when you were a kid. It can be your teacher yelling at you, why haven't you finished this? Everyone else is waiting for you. All of these little examples that kids experience, especially just because kids are sponges and they absorb everything, and we live in a world where adults tell kids what to think of themselves, and then kids wound up believing the stories that these adults that are they're projecting onto these kids. That's what they start feeling. And it's not true, because as we know, you and me and kids and everyone in the world does come into the world with just the ultra peace. You know, it's kind of like the world that makes all the chaos and everything move and different. But like when you're born, when you're just are who you are, you're born like this. You're born with the ease. You're born with the calm. It's like we learn feelings like feeling anxious. We learn all of these things that make us feel like we're not good enough, we're not fast enough, we're not achieving this enough. And the more that we're able to just breathe through it, it's really magical what can happen. Not only for the results that you'll start getting in your life, but just the internal peace that you will feel is going to be so magnetic. So from my heart to yours, it's possible to do this, okay? I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not saying, yeah, my life is just ultra ease. Sometimes I am quick, fast. But I think the point is being intentional around the awareness of, I recognize when I'm being like that. I know when I'm feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm on a rush and I need to move. I can feel that in my heart because I've also felt peace. You know what I mean? It's just about opening your sense of awareness and you caring enough about yourself and just believing enough to believe that you deserve to be at peace and you deserve to be calm, and you can achieve just as much by being in that energy. But you're not going to be burnt out. You're not going to be in confliction with yourself. You're not going to have to do some things but not other things, like valuing other people's time versus never having time for yourself. It literally will just ease your life so much. I hope that this resonated with you. I think a lot of people grow up feeling like this and they feel it as adults, but it's become so normalized that they don't even conceptualize what it could actually mean. What it means behind the surface to feel like I'm constantly rushed, constantly not good enough, constantly feeding more and more, and not taking that replenishing breath of air and just saying, you know what, I can just breathe. I can just let those emotions go. I don't have to be constantly on. It's like my worthiness is not determined based off of your idea of me. My innate worthiness is not based off of how much I can achieve. That would be a different thing. Being innately worthy means no matter what happens, 100%, I have my back and I'm worthy of love and I'm worthy of anything. Because I just am. There was nothing I ever had to do to prove it. It's just what it is. This was Mindset by Natalia. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I will see you in the next one.